Yo, When Colin family, what's going on? I'm back in the Black Abyss, man, and we're about to break down some more film. This time, we're going with Kenyan Drake, the Arizona Cardinals running back, because this is a guy that we drafted possibly late first round, definitely early to late second round in fantasy drafts. And I mean, so far, we're not getting what we expected. Now, when I break down what his pace is for 2020, I actually see the numbers could be, a lot worse as far as one area. So let's go ahead and look at those numbers, right? In 2019, we're talking about a guy who had 170 rushes for 817 yards, 8 touchdowns at 4.8 yards per carry, right? With 50 receptions for 345 yards and 0 touchdowns. Of course, spread between the two teams because he was with Miami to start the year, right? But in 2020, the pace is 268 rushes for 1,016 yards. Not bad. 4 touchdowns. I mean, not that bad. 3.8 yards per carry. That's not what you want to see, right? But the biggest problem I think that most people have with Kenyan Drake this year, obviously the lack of touchdowns in the run game, which would give him half of the touchdowns that, we saw him score in 2019, right? But more than anything, it's the receptions. At this current pace, we're talking about 20 catches for 80 yards and no touchdowns. There's almost no chance that this is how he ends the actual year unless he gets hurt at some point, right? But at the end of the day, that is the pace. And it doesn't mean anything but the fact that he's not getting the kind of opportunities that we thought we would see, right? And, I just did Joe Mixon, right? Who I keep wanting to call Joe Burrow. I just did Joe Mixon. And lo and behold, I do a video. The next week, he explodes. But what did I say in that video? We're looking at a guy who's playing extremely well, that's in an offense that is putting up some points. All he needs is to not lose snaps to Gio Bernard, who wasn't playing as well, right? But instead maybe just be spelled by Gio Bernard and give Mixon those space plays and those nice catch opportunities. The Bengals do that. And against a bad team, of course, well, it's a defense that hasn't been playing that well, right? Or playing well only really in spurts, and we see a big blow up. So I was very optimistic, although, I told you guys, if you think you can move him, I would say move him because, the situation didn't seem to fit the skill set of the player. Here in this Kenyan Drake situation, getting back to what this video is all about, I don't know if I have the same optimism. I don't know if I see the opportunity for change. So we're going to get into the reasons why I'm less optimistic on Kenyan Drake than I was Mixon, who I started out the video just saying nothing but good things. We're going to start this Kenyan Drake video a little bit different so that we can peel back the layers of why this season is starting out as a disappointment as far as what we hope to see, right? So look, issue number one, right? To cut out all the talking and let's get right to it. Issue number one is the fact that the Arizona Cardinals running offense is so uninspiring. I think that this team just runs the ball so that the defense remembers that it's something that they could possibly do, right? There is very little attempts to establish the run, have any kind of creative runs. I think that what Cliff Kingsbury sees as creative runs and catching the defense off guard is just the fact that he spreads you out, and I think that he expects the fact that he spreads you out to be what creates the run game. In reality, it doesn't, because the O-line, okay, this O-line almost never reaches the second level of the defense. Let's watch this play. One thing that these guys love to do, right? is they love these pulling guard formations. Okay, so let's run that back again. When you watch the Arizona run game, it is very common, okay, to see the center and the guard pulling. Okay, that's how they try to establish their power rushing game, right? But part of the problem is, you name to me, okay, you name to me, I'm going to slow this down. Tell me which one of these linemen that you see reach the second level of the defense. Tell me which one of these linemen, okay, as we get, you know, we get a cut block, we get 53 pulling, we get Justin Pugh 67 pulling, and you just don't get any push. Nobody is up to the second level. And we're talking about a run play where we're trying to stretch the defense, okay, horizontally, and create some running lanes. We're trying to have some power built into it because we're pulling our guards. Let's go back to this this view actually, right? We're pulling the guards. We're doing everything that we think we can to try to create a run. But listen, let's not forget about the fact, okay, that if I'm Kenyan Drake, I need, okay, about 5 yards, right? I have 5 yards because I'm always kind of running in shotgun, right, or pistol, okay? He's always kind of at least 5 yards in the backfield, okay? What I need is my lineman to create some push so that, okay, I can get about 6 to 7 yards up the field, because I need 5 just to get to the line of scrimmage, and you just never see it. You just never see anybody really getting to the second level. It just has to be Kenyan Drake creating everything for himself. By the way, this is week 3 versus Detroit, and this is the team that I'm going to focus on a lot when I'm breaking down the run game, because it was just, it's just a combination of some of the good and the bad. It's some of the best combinations of both for me to be able to show you guys kind of what's going on in this run game, right? So let's go to another play. Okay, here we go with another run play, right? On this play, we're actually going to get, you know, somewhat of a stacked box to start the look, right? But part of that is because Hopkins is right here, okay, to the bottom of your screen. We're going to get him, okay, coming across the field. That's in order to get his man moving out of the box, which they're going to achieve. But we're still going to be left with a 7-man box, right? At the end of the day, this is just simply not the most creative, forceful run. Look at, I mean, there's just no blocking here. You know, like the problem with the Cardinals offense at this particular time when it comes to the run game, as the end zone angle runs, I'm going to keep talking on this one, right? One of the biggest issues with this team is just that when it comes to establishing the run, you just do not, as we watch this again, you see the pullers. I mean, we get guys moving around in the formation because we're trying to clear up the box a little bit, right? We're trying to misdirect, but nobody is ever fooled, right? We just get our running back slammed in the backfield. We're always running out of shotgun. We're always running out of pistol. It's almost always single back. If it's not, we get a tight end in the backfield, okay, kind of playing a fullback position, and it's typically not effective, especially, okay, when the run seems to be designed to go up the middle of the defense, right? Let's look at a little bit more. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but I want you to see some of these issues. Okay, look, here's one of my favorite horrible runs right here, right? This run design, right? It's an attempt to be clever that just does not work. And I mean, when Matt Patricia is outsmarting UGs, I mean, take a look at this. Look, I mean, it's so unsuccessful. But let's take a look at the end zone view so that we can get an idea of why it was so unsuccessful. Now, when we get the snap of the ball, we're going to get the offensive line moving to the left, right? Because that's where we want the defense to move, okay? Now, let's go back a little bit more, right? What is starting to develop, okay, is pretty much what the defense wants, right? Or I should say what the offense wants. You got Kelvin Beachum here, right? Okay. And he's going to engage his man, right? He's going to be able to take, okay, this outside shoulder, right? He's going to be able to take that and drive this guy this way, right? That's exactly what you want, right? All right. So if we get the defense all flowing in this direction, right? We get these linebackers, these safeties all going this way, right? If this play works correctly, okay, we can get 71 getting up the field, okay, and taking somebody out. Either this linebacker, maybe, I mean, he's not going in that direction. Maybe if this guy crashes down, maybe that's who he takes out, right? So Kenyan Drake can have the opportunity to follow his line, maybe find a hole here, right? And if he can't, then he can pop back. But now that I've, you know, completely just drew all over the screen, right? Let's take a look at what actually happens in slow motion, okay? Keep your eyes on 68, Kelvin Beachum. He just completely gets tossed aside, right? So what we see is Kenyan Drake would like, okay? Kenyan Drake would love to take this ball, okay? Right? Because we also have the ability for Kyler Murray to keep it, okay, and roll out, right? But this defender is waiting for that. He's unblocked, but Kelvin Beachum is going to miss this. I mean, it's not that he does it. He misses the block. He isn't able to hold the block long enough to keep this player from jumping inside, right? And number 71, right? You're supposed to get up this field and be able to stop this guy, right? Not like he does that so that Kenyan Drake can have this cutback lane. Does anybody do their job? No, nobody does their job. And here we go with another uninspiring run play. Okay, so we got the bad stuff out of the way. There's so much of it, right? But I showed you week 3 against Detroit because it was a game where the Cardinals really did seem to be trying harder than I saw them in other games to get the run going. So Detroit's reaction to that was really something that was, you know, something that was of note for me when I was looking at when I was looking at all of these Kenyan Drake plays. I watched every single target and run that he's had in 2020 as well as some in 2019, right? So what I did notice is a pattern that there's a lot of runs that defenses seem to see coming, okay? It seems to be rare that you actually get the offensive line getting great push, okay, and linemen get into the second level of the defense to be able to help Drake, you know, really break off a big run. But what you do notice is that they do have a package of plays that it seems like they do well, or at least Kenyan Drake does a lot better job, okay, getting yards on, right? And particularly is when they run off tackle or try to get him on the edges of defenses. So as far as the pulling center, pulling guard stuff, it's just a lot of times that stuff gets blown up. But what does happen is when you see the Cardinals seem to really want to establish a run or really get a run play going, the formations tend to have tight ends, okay, lined up in the backfield, or 2 or 3 tight ends lined up on either side, okay, of either the left tackle or the right tackle, right? And these plays work a lot better when they get Kenyan Drake, okay, on the edge of the defense or going off tackle. Because of his speed and some of the quickness that he had, I don't think that this guy's a elite quickness guy, okay? Not an elite speed guy, but when he gets on the edge, I think because of his size, okay, it works out a lot better, okay? So run plays that get him to the edge, get this guy going a lot better. And at the end of the day, these are the plays where we're getting some Kenyan Drake success, right? So let's look at a couple more of those kind of plays. Okay, so here's another play designed to get Kenyan Drake on the edge. And like I said, when these guys want to get Kenyan Drake really going, like I said, what I see more often than not is more tight ends being added to the formation. And here we're on week 1 against San Francisco, where before it was really established as something that they were doing really often, I think they did a good job of catching these guys off guard, because you get the two tight ends lined up outside of the right tackle, but this play is actually going to go in this direction, right? And like I said, when we see Kenyan Drake be able to get out on the edge and use his speed, we see a much more successful player in the run game, right? Look at that. Just shooting out on the edge, right, and get 7 yards right there, okay? Let's take a look at another play from week 1, right? This time we're going to get 3 tight ends, okay, lined up on the left side of the tackle, right? So we know that they're trying to get this guy on the edge in this particular play, right? And again, I mean, these kind of plays just work a lot better for this team. It allows Kenyan Drake to get out in space, and he just does well when he gets those kind of opportunities. Look at him, press the line of scrimmage, just one cut. He's able to make a defender miss, right? This is where the guy is playing a whole lot better, right? But in reality, this is the NFL. He also has success with these plays in week 2, right? And in that game against Detroit that I was showing you, there was some success there that I'll show you, right? And then we'll get into week 4 to show how, you know, we see, you know, a team kind of catching up with what is kind of the obvious formations that Drake does well in. All right, here we go again. Like I said, we were going to hop over to week 3, right? You guys are going to see a lot of this, okay? A lot of this game, because it really was a true kind of back and forth chess match when it came to the run game. What we're going to get here, we're going to get the 2 tight ends, okay, and a good blocking wide receiver, Larry Fitzgerald, lined up on the edge, right? This is what Kenyan Drake has been doing best from all the tape that I watch, okay? You're going to get a lighter box. We're going to get guard, center, pulling, okay? And we're going to get a far better run, right? Okay. Here's another run play I like, okay? Something to note. Kyler Murray under center. Don't see it a lot, right? We're going to get the tight end flexing into the backfield, right? And then pulling, okay, to be able to cut off anything from the backside of the formation. We're going to get a good blocking wide receiver. Again, Larry Fitzgerald here. We're going to get your blocking tight end here. When the Cardinals try to actually run the ball, not just keep the defense honest, we do see, like I said, more success. We see Kenyan Drake doing what it seems he's best at. We get a toss, right? Look at the lane that's created because of how much pressure you're putting on the defense in this particular formation, right? We're able to move a guy, right? We're able to get out, crack down on the backside with the tight end, and create a lane. And the thing is, when lanes are there, Kenyan Drake does a good job of finding them and kind of exploding through them. He just needs more of those opportunities, right? So essentially, as I'm breaking down the film, I'm seeing, okay, when we get Kenyan Drake on the edge, he's able to make plays, right? And NFL teams are able to see it too. So once we get to week 4, I think this is where I lost some of my optimism that we're gonna be able to really drastically change around this Kenyan Drake season, and he can become the fantasy RB1 that he was drafted to be, right? Let's take a look at that. All right, so the thing that I just showed you as this play plays, right, is tosses were working pretty well. Now I only showed you one, right? But check this one out here. We get the toss, okay? Let's run it back. We're going to get a toss to the outside, okay? We're going to get the tackle pulling, the guard pulling, the center pulling. Nobody is paying attention to number 52, right? And we get a play that's blown up. And what I saw in week 4 is a lot of plays that had worked in previous weeks just being blown up. And I didn't show it to you guys a lot, right? Because this video would have been 2 hours long. But tosses to get Kenyan Drake on the outside were something that were really successful for the offense. But as you can see, Pugh does not get a hand on 52. 74 is trying to get outside. 53 doesn't really touch anybody, and number 52 here is able to just come down the line and make a good tackle, right? So you see this throughout in this particular game, that some of those edge runs that were so successful, week 1, week 2, week 3, again, I didn't show all of them. This video would be too long if I did, right? But we saw that kind of break down, which I think may be an issue here, right? Okay, so how about the quote unquote unbalanced look, right? Where I put two tight ends on the other side of my left tackle, right? And I try to get Kenyan Drake going off tackle, right? How about that, right? Well, Carolina was there. They're just going to go ahead and let two safeties, right? They're going to have a safety in the corner ready for that play, right? We're not going to be able to get anything going off the edge of the defense, and we're going to get a stop. And we get guys swarming to the ball on these stops. Just so many unblocked players or players not blocked long enough ready to make the play. It's crazy. Look, so here we're going to go with another toss. And, you know, Carolina was just all over it. And this one has a pretty decent design. We're going to get DeAndre Hopkins coming across the formation, right, to try to confuse the defense. We're going to get, you know, a counter toss, right? This was a play that they were having a lot of success with on tape through 4 weeks. And Carolina, as you can see how they play these kind of unbalanced, weird formations, guys are just crashing down, right? They're just being good with the discipline of their eyes, right? And we're just not getting a lot of guys falling for it. Look how if we go back to the end zone angle and we slow this down, you have 24 following Hopkins, but look at everybody else. The defensive line does crash down, right? But look how quickly the linebackers are able, well, the particular linebacker is able to flow to the play because there's nobody getting to the second level. There is no help for Kenyan Drake. So yeah, that's big issue number one is run design, which to me includes the lack of ability to be able to block well, but you could call that issue number two, right? So let's say that we will categorize it that way. Issue number three, not very inspiring uses in the passing game because that's all going to a different guy. Let's look at some of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at some of the ways that Chase Edmonds is used in the passing game to get an understanding of the other issue that is there with Kenyan Drake, and that is the lack of usage in the passing game, right? He does get targets, right? And he has, you know, 5 catches, right, so far. But at the end of the day, okay, Chase Edmonds, who you see lined up here, okay, is the guy that's getting the creative passing down plays, right? And we're going to get Chase, okay, cutting to this way, right? And we're going to get a fake, okay, a fake run to Drake going in this direction. And it's a well-designed play that's going to catch the defense off guard, right? And we're going to get a catch and a touchdown from it, right? If you're in full PPR, you know, what is that? That's over 10 yards too. That's 8 for you right there, right? And we wish that 8 was Kenyan Drake because, you know, then we'd be having a great fantasy day, but it's well designed, right? You get the defense flowing to the left. You get a guy cutting out to the right, okay? And Edmonds is able to make the play at the end. And the reality is that he's consistently getting these kind of opportunities that we thought would be all Kenyan Drake. As we take a look at another play from week 1, that's Chase Edmonds, right? Splitting out, okay, into the slot, right? And we're going to get a nice little 5-yard out, okay? Sets up the safety, right? Is able to run that play pretty well. Get another yard, you know, just stretching the ball out up the field, showing his strength. I mean, these kind of opportunities constantly out there for Chase Edmonds. Do not see them with any kind of consistency when we're talking about Kenyan Drake, unfortunately. Look, I'm definitely not seeing anything on film like this for Kenyan Drake. Watch this play where we get Kyler Murray, okay, switching the play. You know, we get Andy Isabella out there a little bit confused about what's going on. But watch Edmonds beat the linebacker up the seam who's sleeping, right? Because his eyes are totally just focused on let's watch the linebacker here, right? The linebacker, let's make sure we point the guy out, okay? We're going to get Edmonds right here going up the seam, right? This linebacker keeps his eyes on Kyler, right? Let's take a look at it again, right? And watch him just beat the guy up the seam, right? Little fake stem on the inside and beats the guy right up the field. It's an incomplete pass, but it's the kind of opportunities we thought were going to be all Kenyan Drake, because there was some evidence that Cliff Kingsbury does like to give the ball to a particular guy. Chase Edmonds is not super involved, right? But the snaps that he is taking at the end of the day, and the opportunities and his usage is taken away from that same usage for Drake. At the end of the day, Drake is being used more as like a first and second down guy. Not that he doesn't play on third downs at all, but he's just not getting the opportunities in an offense that really, as I said before, they're not really trying to establish and punch you in the mouth with their running game. Is there to keep you honest, right? And many of the plays are misdirects. Oh, if you're not paying attention, we'll catch you kind of run plays. And Chase Edmonds is the guy that's in there when the defense thinks, okay, this is going to be a pass. Oh, snap. They caught us with a draw. And I'll show you. Okay, now I'll be honest with you. This particular run I'm about to show you is the longest run by a Cardinals running back all year, 20 yards, right? And it's on a draw, right? But I don't say that to knock Kenyan Drake. The fact is, Chase Edmonds get these opportunities more than Kenyan Drake does to run in those moments where the defense does not expect it. But also, I can't lie, the vision, which we'll take a look at, you may be able to even see here, is really spectacular, right? And I mean, the boy just starts galloping. He's bigger. I would say he might be a little bit faster than Kenyan Drake. Chase Edmonds, to me, may end up being the guy at some point. If Kenyan Drake's opportunities get a little bit scaled back for Chase Edmonds, I won't be surprised, because take a look at this play, which obviously is designed to go to your left, and he just puts one foot in the ground and is exploding. I mean, you talk about getting on your horse. I mean, watch how the kid, okay, is able to bounce this particular run, right? And we're going to look at it in slow motion so that we can see it a little bit better, right? We're going to get the draw, right? He sees Bosa just kind of forcing his way to that side, and he puts that foot in the ground. And this is just pure acceleration. Again, I don't want to knock Drake by saying how good of a run this is, right? But it's also kind of, I think, what you have to be prepared to do as a Cardinals running back right now is kind of keep your head on the swivel and find that lane where the lane isn't supposed to be. And at the end of the day, from the tape that I watched, not only is Edmonds kind of just naturally getting some of the better opportunities in Cliff Kingsbury's offense, I think that there may be a little bit to say that he may be actually doing a little bit more with the touches that he does get. So at the end of the day, I think these are the combination of things that are contributing to Kenyan Drake not having the season that we would all like to have him, actually have, right? So look, I want to do a conclusion as we just kind of play some Kenyan Drake highlights in the background, right? Some all 22 highlights, right? At the end of the day, look, here's what I'm saying. Like I said, I think Chase Edmonds has an actual chance to take over this backfield. That's number one. Or maybe not number one, but that's part of the deal here, okay? The other part of this deal is the run game is not imaginative, and it's not something that Kenyan Drake at this particular time is especially thriving in, I should say. The edge runs look good, but I'm losing my optimism that the Cardinals will be able to successfully get Kenyan Drake on the edge of the defense with any consistent success, right? 1,016-yard pace and 4 touchdowns isn't that bad. So really, it's hard for me to say completely give up on this guy, right? But at the same time, I think the Kenyan Drake owner expected, right, more plays in the passing game, and that is something I feel like I can say almost unequivocally does not look like it's in the cards unless we get some kind of injury to Chase Edmonds, who did not play as big of a role last year once Kenyan Drake was on board, was I don't think many people expected him to play as much of a role he has this year. Not a lot of carries, but it looks like they trust the guy in the passing game. It looks like they trust him in some short yardage situations, and the explosiveness and the burst that he's shown, I mean, could take away. Now, the other thing that we have to also think about that maybe we didn't, right, is that Kyler Murray has developed, after another offseason. He's running a little bit more. He's scoring on rushing touchdowns, right? And these guys have DeAndre Hopkins, who, with an offense like this, they're able to use as some of their short running game, right? They're able to use him to get 4 or 5 yards on the slant, right? And he's a big part of their offense now. When they received Kenyan Drake last year, okay, they didn't have a lot of guys playing well in the passing game. So I think just there was a propensity to have more reliance on Kenyan Drake, right? I think that may just, not be the same this year, and they're using this guy, as just a, I don't want to say pounder, but, a first and second down guy, and I don't think that they have the best and most inspiring run plays just planned out for those situations. So look, this could get better, right? We've also seen a dip in production from the Cardinals overall the last 2 weeks, right? So who knows, this could be better, but I do these videos for one reason, to show you guys what you may not be able to see, to point out some of the things that are going wrong, and to help you to be able to make lineup decisions and trade decisions, right? Based on having just that much more information than maybe someone else in your league, because that's what fantasy all comes down to, right? Like, where do you get your information from? How quick do you get it so that you can make the pickup before somebody else, or you can make the informed trade offer, or the informed trade decision when you accept, right? So that's what I do this for, man. And at the end of the day, as we see in some of the highlights playing, we're talking about a talented guy here, just like we were with Mixon. So there could always be the chance that I take all this time to do this video, and Drake goes out next week and has 3 touchdowns and 150 total yards, right? Something crazy like Mixon did. But there's also the chance that this is an all-year struggle, and I would definitely say there's to me a growing chance that the Chase Edmonds, Kenyan Drake situation turns into somewhat of a timeshare, right? That with one Drake injury becomes totally Chase Edmonds' backfield. I mean, just the way that they trust him in the pass game, I don't know how I could say anything else from what I'm seeing, right? So with that being said, man, I hope this was helpful for you guys. I appreciate all the people liking, subscribing to the videos, man. You just don't understand how helpful that is, and just how much motivation it gives me to continue to do this. Sorry that this video took so long, but it was just so much to digest. As the weeks get longer, right, as we get into 4, 5, 6 weeks into the league, watching some of these guys is just a lot more plays to watch, a lot more stuff to bring in as well, with a player who, just got to this team last year, so there was other things for me to understand. But again, just hope it's helpful. Don't want to continue to ramble on for too much longer, right? Appreciate all you guys, and I'm out.